Section 22 of Neighbourhood, A Year's Life in and About an English Village, by Ticknor Edwards. November, Part 1. 1. No mirth, no cheerfulness, no healthful ease, no comfortable feel in any member, no warmth, no shine, no butterflies, no bees. November. It was the old vicar of Windlecombe who ironically quoted the lines as we went along our favourite path together, the path that runs between Arun River and the woods. The first frosts had come and gone, and left us in the midst of the usual revolutions and surprises. In a single day the ash trees had cast their whole weight of foliage to earth, green as in summer prime. Though as yet not a single leaf had fallen from the other forest trees, all had changed miraculously. The beechwoods looked like vast smouldering fires. Every elm stood up, clothed to its fingertips in shreds of gold leaf. Here and there in the wood a dash of vivid scarlet showed where a sycamore had been found and struck by the frost. Larch, willow, maple, birch, each added to the glowing prospect its individual shade of tawny brown or drab or yellow. We walked in a land where, for once, the sunshine seemed a superfluous thing, to turn the eye away for a little while from all that intolerable radiance, and rest it on the oak woods where a vestige of summer greenery endured, or on the cool grey stems of the stripped ash trees, was a pleasure I found myself furtively snatching as we went along, although I left the sentiment discreetly unexpressed. The old vicar stopped, removed his great white Panama, and mopped his forehead luxuriously. No warmth, no shine, he repeated. Now where in the world could the poor soul have lived who wrote that? And no bees? Why, I can hear them now, thousands of them. It was true enough, and with the bees were the November butterflies too, if he could only have seen them. In a sunny corner by the pathside stood an old pollard ash, its trunk rearing up out of the thicket, high over our heads, like a huge doubled fist thrust into a green gauntlet of ivy. It was only one tree among innumerable others in the wood, and the same stirring scene was enacting round each of them. Though with everything else the season was autumn, for the ivy it was the heyday of spring. The great tree above us was smothered in golden blossom, the nectar glistening in the sunshine, a rich honey scent burdening the still air. There were not only hive bees and butterflies rioting at this, the last outdoor feast of the year, but bumblebees, wasps, droneflies, every other creature that could fly and had escaped the chills of the November nights. The air was misty with the glint of their wings, and full of a deep, sweet song. As we passed along by the wood, we were always either drawing into the zone of this ivy music, or leaving it behind us, and never once did it forsake our path all the morning through. We came at last to a spot where the woods fell back from the waterside, and a stretch of wild hillocky grassland, overgrown with briar and bramble, bordered the stream. Between the willows that stood upon the bank, dipping their yellow autumn tresses in the flood, I could see the placid breadth of the river, with its topsy-turvy vision of the glowing hills beyond, hills that, by reason of the interlacing boughs above, were directly invisible. A lark broke up almost from under our feet, and went slanting aloft into the blue sky, singing as though it were April. The Reverend put a hand upon my arm. "Well, what do you see?" he asked. "Everything must have changed since we were here last, and—" "I see," said I, rather disturbed, "a painter's easel straddled in front of your favourite creek, an easel with a three-legged stool before it, but no painter. I see also a little further on a big white umbrella with the top of a sombrero just showing above it. and a great cloud of tobacco smoke drifting out of it, but here again no other sign of painter or man. Shall we go back?" But he was for pushing on. As we approached the umbrella, a throaty tenor voice was uplifted to a weird foreign strain. "En passant par Square Montalon, la dig-dig-dong, la dig-dig-dong, je rencontre un jeune tendron, la dig-dig." Superb! Superb! If only I could excite myself to... if only that tumultuous thrill which I know always presages... La dig-dig-donc, j'offre tout de suite ma main, yeah. La brigue donc dernière. Or, at least, so the gibberish sounded. But now it suddenly left off. A pallet went rattling to the ground. The short, squat figure of the owner of the caravan burst into view. "Greuze, I cannot do it. I really cannot. I am not sufficiently inspired to-day. I am not great enough. Oh, I beg your pardon. I thought it was my friend's step. Why, the water-bearer, to be sure. How do you do?" It was my first glimpse of Spelthorne by light of day, and I owned to myself frankly that the night had been kind to him. A fringe of yellow-grey hair escaped in all directions beyond the brim of his hat. He had a florid, puffy, indeterminate face, eyes at once selfish and sentimental, and a week-old beard, still further ostracised a chin already too retiring. Like his companion, he wore a gold watch-chain of heavy calibre, with a bunch of seals and trinkets upon it. But his clothes, that in the darkness had seemed much tattered and torn, now appeared entirely disreputable. They were, moreover, covered with finger-marks of paint, to which he was now adding, as he ceremoniously welcomed us. "Art, what is it?" he cried, removing his hat and running his fingers through his hair, when presently, at his earnest invitation, the Reverend had sat himself down before the easel, and was making a grave show of inspecting the canvas on it. "And the artist, where is he?" He made a dramatic pause. "Where indeed?" quoth the Reverend, grimly staring before him. "You see this picture?" wagging a chrome-yellow thumb over the canvas. "9/10 of it are the work of one exalted day. The rest the unilluminated toil of a week. Strange that we should be made so, at one moment like Prometheus, stealing the very fire from heaven, and at the next... but only an artist can really comprehend." He filled his pipe with a resigned, quiet sadness. "Now, Greuze, that is my friend who is travelling with me," he went on. "Greuze, poor fellow, he never realizes the difficulties in his path, because, let me put it in the kindest way, because, well, the truth is, poor Greuze has mistaken his calling. No better fellow in the world, you know. A hard plodder, always trying, always doing his best. But, you see, that brings us back to what I said just now. Art and the artist. Where will you find them, and what are they?" A slight cough sounded in our rear. Looking round, I saw that the long, lean man had returned to his easel, unmarked by any of us. The Reverend got abruptly to his feet. "Well," said he, "you have a great responsibility. Supreme gifts in a man mean that much will be required of him. So bend your back to it. Good day." As we passed by the other easel, its owner looked up pleasantly, but his brush kept busily to work. "Don't go yet," he entreated. "I am so glad to... But you won't mind, will you, if I go on with... You see, I have not had very long at it this morning. Spelthorne, he was getting so anxious about the stew that I had to run back to the caravan, and... or else he would have... It wouldn't have done, of course, to let him go himself. When once he has got into the mood, the slightest little thing..." He rambled on thus, scarcely ever finishing a sentence, and all the while dabbing away industriously at his sketch. He, too, I had never yet beheld in daylight, but, unlike his friend, sunshine rather improved his appearance than otherwise. It could not fill up the gaps in his coat, nor had it a lustrating effect upon his linen, yet it revealed in his long cadaverous face, and in his mild sad eyes, a delicacy, a sensibility that I had not remarked in them before. As he talked, the old vicar studied his voice attentively. "Spelthorne," he went on, in his curious, disjointed, breathless way, "Spelthorne, his work is so immeasurably, he has such a demand for it that, and I am always so glad, of course, to do any little thing to save him trouble. I really think no man in the world ever had a better friend." The Reverend was standing close behind him now. He laid a hand gently on Grews's dilapidated shoulder. "Don't hurry," he said. "At least, don't hurry with your mind. Above all, don't worry. It is all coming beautifully. When did you see your doctor last?" The question, unexpected as it was by myself, seemed to surprise Grewes infinitely more. The blood got up into two bright points in his cheeks. His brushes rattled against his palate. He looked round at the old vicar tremulously. "Doctor? Why, what makes you think I'm very well indeed. Never better." He stopped, looking up into the sightless, kindly blue eyes that appeared to be as steadily gazing down into his. There was a moment's silence, and then, if I ever saw real untrammelled joy spring into a human face, I saw it in his. "Do you really think so?" he cried. "You think well, sometimes lately I have thought myself that—" Spelthorne's voice grumbled out from behind the umbrella. "Now, my dear Grewes, have I not frequently told you that, though I am willing to lend you anything I have, I always expect—" Grewes sprang to his feet. "It is his cadmium," he whispered, horrified. "I borrowed it, and never— How very annoying for him." "Now, there is a strange thing," said the Reverend musingly, as we trudged on our way together. "A man well on in a rapid decline, and neither knowing nor caring about it, as glad indeed to hear the thing confirmed as if someone had left him a legacy. A month, did you say? Then he may never go out of Windlecombe by the road." We made a long day's round, taking meadow, riverside, wood, and downland in our walk, and reaching home again only when the lights were beginning to star the misty coombe, for we had a special object in our journey. To the townsman it may well seem as fruitless a task to seek wild flowers in November as to go gathering nuts in May. Well, here is a list of what we found in one November day's ramble about a single village in Highland Sussex. 57 distinct species, and of many we could have gathered, not single flowers, but whole handfuls had we willed. Nor is the list an exhaustive one, either for the district or the time of year. Bringing more eyesight, leisure, and diligence to the task, no doubt a fuller inventory could be made in any mild season. Dandelion, hawkweed, strawberry, furze, pennycress, teasel, red dead-nettle, hedge mustard, sun spurge, white dead-nettle, dwarf spurge, hedge parsley, knapweed, mallow, rock rose, marguerite, harebell, cranesbill, poppy, daisy, heather, musk thistle, hogweed, betony, charlock, yarrow, viper's bugloss, buttercup, sheepsbit, burnet saxifrage, red clover, marjoram, sow thistle, white clover, cudweed, wild pansy, pimpernel, groundsel, shepherd's purse, calamint, nipplewort, nonsuch, blackberry, small bindweed, ivy, mayweed, herb robert, chickweed, field madder, ragwort, veronica, sandwort, silverweed, white campion, persicary, red campion, mouse ear. End of section 22.
Please subscribe to update new videos. Please share and like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much.